Welcome everybody to the memberships channel. This is exclusive content and thank you for being a member. We are here joined with Ryan Benson, our half Filipino friend. We just ate at Max's restaurant. We just did a video there. A lot of Filipino.
Introduce yourself, Ryan, to the podcast community.
Which camera are we looking at?
You look at us.
Look at us like the cameras are just
And then, but make sure you're close to the.
Okay.
This is Ryan's first podcast, so.
Yeah, this is my first podcast ever, so.
If you want to look at the
audience, you don't sing or rap, right?
No.
So you've never been in the studio hearing your voice back?
I've never.
Do you do VOs like for people?
No, I don't.
80 hours.
Dude, you know what I noticed? Everybody will eventually get into voice acting.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, because if you get popping enough as an actor, they'll get you to voice a character in, like, you know, whether it's an animated Disney or CGI.
My cousin Dylan, he's also a model in New York. We actually have the same agents. His girlfriend actually just got a job working for Disney. She does voiceover translations into Italian. And like,
so she's gonna do like Italian.
Dubbing.
What Mulan? Like when the new Mulan movie needs to be dubbed in Italian,
Exactly.
They'll get her to do like Mulan.
Exactly. Yeah. So
is it Mulano?
I have no idea, but it's really interesting because like.
Protecto Chinese.
I don't know. It's French.
I mean, her dad's like big into like the movie business, but she's been out in New York on her own, doing her own thing, and she hasn't like used any of her dad's connection or anything.
Oh, her dad's big in Italy or big in America?
In America.
So it's a big
So
shot.
then how would she be able to do it in Italian? Like, if she's just
So he's from Italy.
Oh.
Like they grew up, like she speaks like.
So her Italian's good.
Yeah.
Yo, that's so.
Like,
I'll tell you this. That is so New York. That is not something you would find in LA. Like, you know, like that whole like gay, I'm Italian, or like being like, oh, mi papà es italiano. Like, you would just never get that on the West Coast.
Right.
That's so, because Italy, it's quite close to the East Coast.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if you look at it from a geographical standpoint, like Italy is so much further away from LA than it is to New York.
You don't even meet Europeans barely in LA. Like much ratio-wise, much lower. And you know where you see them? Santa Monica all day, though. If you were to say what part of LA they'd be in.
Italians?
No, Europeans.
Oh yeah.
No,
yeah.
like, you're not gonna see them in like downtown really like as much. A little bit, but not really.
Not living. I think if they move to LA, they're out west side for sure.
Yeah.
You know what I always hear Europeans say? You know, if I move to LA, got to move for LA, the beach, because that is the thing that makes LA.
I think you're confusing your Filipino accent from our video today in Italy, because it was like you had some Italian notes and then you added some like.
I gotta move the beach.
No. That was a person from Barcelona.
Barcelona?
Cause you know how they kind of sound like a little bit.
A little lispy.
Yeah.
I don't want to say. I don't want to use the word.
That whole
Spanish.
That whole region, Catalonia, they like so in Spain you have Catalonia, you have Galicia, Castilla.
Different languages, right?
They all have different languages, different cultures, and then not only you have all those regions, and then you have the Basque region in the north of Spain.
And that's its own system, right?
Own system. Like the Basque language has no Latin roots at all. It's like its own like language. It's crazy.
Dude, I used to go to this wine bar in LES that was run by people that were Basque.
Was it Zin?
Nah, it was something else. It was like, it was on Eldridge.
Wait, is that the one that you go downstairs?
Yeah, to use the bathroom.
Oh yeah. I've been there before.
No, it's on the same street as the the cheap dumpling spot. It's called Mama's
Zin?
Vanessa's
dumpling. It's not the same street as Vanessa's. Anyway, yo, everything we're talking about right now is so New York. And it's because me and Andrew used to live in New York. You're from New York, or the general New York region.
Right.
Queens, Jersey.
Some New York people might call you out, but then you did grow up in Queens, right?
I mean, so I grew
Real quick, tell them that you're
in a sentence. How do you explain how the shame of being fully from Jersey versus you being a hybrid, part New York City, part Jersey?
And what do you claim?
Versus, you know how like some people be like, yo, if you didn't live in New York City for more than 3 years, don't say it.
Okay, so all right, if you're a transplant from New York, like, and you're gonna say you're a New Yorker, you have to be in New York for 10 years. That's a general rule. If you go to New York, you can say you're a New Yorker after 10 years.
That's why I don't. Yeah. Okay.
I'm not. You know,
2 years. I got 2 years.
If you're born in Jersey, you lived in Jersey, like most of your life, I would say you're from New Jersey. you're B and T. You were bridge and tunnel.
Okay.
Right. I kind of got the best of both worlds because as my family, my dad was like building his business. I spent my time with my grandparents in Queens. I loved.
Were you able to speak during this time? Did you have sentient?
Wait, did you remember?
Did you have your own brain cells, or were?
So at first,
your conscience was formed by this moment.
So at first, no, and then I spent so much time in Queens with my grandparents.
Was your first words like son, or B?
Queens. Was it yo Queens?
Back then they didn't say dead ass. We probably
where in Queens?
Word up.
Woodside.
Yeah, the Filipino area.
Yeah, the Filipino area. Shout out to Ihawan. We were just at Max's.
Rich the bar.
So you're saying you got your card? You got your New York card?
I think I might have New York card, but.
And you worked in New York. When we met you, you were working in New York. You spent a lot of time in New York.
Spent a lot of time in
Manhattan.
New York. Yeah, I've been out there doing.
So are you a New Yorker? You feel comfortable telling people that?
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what's really funny about like the hip hop words that are so New York? It's like it went from word up to like
dope.
No, to like real talk to dead ass to facts.
Yeah.
And they all mean the same thing.
Yeah.
Yo, word up, son. But nobody says it. You can still see the old people say that. Like when I hear like, like there's still old hip hop cats that you see on the street in New York that are like got gray hair. They'd be like, yo, word up, son.
Yeah.
Word up. But then you don't hear.
No, they're wearing like jean shorts and like a beater.
you don't hear like the young. They're wearing a dookie rope chain still, but you don't hear the young people talk like that.
Nah.
But then everybody knows when they say word up. Everybody gets what they're meaning. Right. But they just don't say that.
Word. Yeah, word. I mean, I
feel like you can still say word, but like, yo, word up.
Word up is definitely old school.
Very old school.
Word is kind of like I think.
Peace out, word up. It's like a little bit.
I say word a lot, but that's kind of like someone says something to me. I'm not really listening. Like the lights are on, no one's home, and I'm just like, yeah, word.
Oh, and then you know what is a new one too? That I feel like the meaning is a little bit more diverse than word. Is bet.
Bet. Yeah.
I bet. Because it was so funny. I read on Twitter, people are like, I bet is the only thing that can mean everything from keep talking. I don't care, like I'm kind of indifferent, to like, for sure, to keep talking and I'm about to hurt you. Like, I bet.
Right.
Like,
come at me.
Yeah. You want to go to do that?
I think with a lot of words, it depends on how you say it and the tone and the connotation.
True.
You go, I bet, versus bet. Like, bet's kind of like dismissive, just keep talking, yeah, whatever. But then.
But that's why I always thought it was weird when you got some people in New York that would text you bet, like B-E-T-T.
Yeah.
But then you'd be like, which bet is it?
It's like,
you don't.
bet.
It's a
bet. Like, it's not bet with an exclamation mark, but it's like, yeah. No one really does bet with an exclamation mark, actually, now that I think about it.
But you know what?
I feel, you know what? As much as I love New York, I feel like I don't say bet, personally. We have friends that say it. We all have friends.
You say bet?
I don't say it.
It's kind of new school, right?
It's kind of new school. I don't know. Like I guess word is just so indoctrinated.
People on the West Coast don't really say that. They don't really say it on the West Coast, generally, right?
I think
I would not say it.
Not like I think if you're into hip-hop, you say it.
You know what the difference is? In New York, you can meet like a Jewish accountant that would say word.
Yeah.
But and urban people on the West Coast would say it, but there's no way a white accountant's gonna say it on the West Coast. Because you know what this brings me to my the main discussion point. You know, it took 8 minutes to get here, but it's all good.
That's what podcasts are.
The differences between New York and LA, and I feel like one of the major ones is that hip hop culture just permeates everything in New York. Like, I don't care what you're eating, there's a 75% chance Biggie or Lauryn Hill or like somebody from New York is playing on the sound system.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, music in New York.
You're not gonna hear
hip-hop's
it's
everywhere.
very rare to hear EDM.
Nah, you don't hear that like bubbly, fun EDM music around New York.
I think it's more like high class restaurants, they'll play like deep house or just like chill music, but then you have like there's this restaurant called Charlie Bird in New York where you're getting like good fried chicken and then you just see this big mural of like Biggie and all they play is like 90s hip hop and just
like Wu-Tang and like DJ Premier shit, right?
Yeah, and I mean like the food is very upscale, don't get me wrong. It's kind of.
Is it like 100 person? Or like 50?
I would say 50. Yeah,
50. Yeah, 50's a lot still.
50's a lot, and like
50's at that level. They still play hip hop though.
Yeah,
I feel like if it was 100, they might have moved out of hip hop lane. Yeah. They might have live music at that
They might
point.
have. Well,
No.
nah.
They would just be playing
They would
just
just be
something.
I
else.
kind of miss that. And you know, the only place that I see like everywhere playing hip hop is only certain districts in LA, like Fairfax, which is where Supreme is.
Supreme, Rippin'
Ape, yeah, like you know what I mean. All your, I mean, a lot of those brands, to be honest, come from New York.
Well, I'll tell you this, like, for example, I think Westfield Mall, like, for example, that's a very suburban thing to have in your city.
Right.
Like, big malls,
Right.
they're never going to play, like, old school hip hop unless there's, like, that playlist specifically for that. But really, usually in malls, they play, like, pop music. They just play, like, top 40.
I was about to say, I'm trying to think of the last time I went to a Westfield Mall.
Or, like, the Grove, or you know what I mean.
You know what it is?
Galleria, they're
Do
not
you
gonna
think it
play-
has to do with the fact that most hip hop music, especially in the '90s, like 80% of it was physically recorded in New York? And then if you think about pop music, probably 80% of pop music is physically recorded in LA.
Well, I would say that while hip hop is very strong in the West Coast, it's not the overall narrative. Where you go to New York and like when you think of Dookie chains and black T-shirts and like Run DMC and
What do you mean,
like breakers,
like Jay-Z and Alicia Keys performing at like the
Madison
Yankees game, like, and the Yankees game's just going like crazy.
despite the heart of hip hop, even though a lot of the music's coming out of Atlanta right now, the heart of hip hop is still New York. It's like the heart of it. But yeah, it's not necessarily producing all the hits.
I feel like the cultural heart of it is just New York.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think you just see these new big personalities like Cardi B, who really is almost like a turned up IG personality that also raps.
like she could only come from New. Hey, Cardi B could only come from New York.
Only come from New York.
Like-
Also, Remy Ma.
Remy Ma, she went to prison, came back out, and she's a personality now.
Shot somebody.
Yeah.
In self-defense.
Hey, she did her time. She did her time. I mean, if you look at the West Coast, you have compared to Cardi B, you have like Saweetie, who's like a much sweeter, like nicer girl, but she don't have a personality.
I think that's why people took Nipsey as a big thing, because he was like a West Coast hip hop icon, and obviously for him to get murdered, it was like we're down another one. Yeah. It's not like there's like we got unlimited of those, you know.
But I would say he had some. I don't want to say it's just East Coast vibes, but he was very much respected on the East Coast. Like I would say that he wasn't like overly West Coast feel.
Well, he didn't make radio bops.
Yeah.
Which is big. Number two, what do you think about? Obviously, that's one. That's a cultural thing, right? That's like you got to know about culture to think of the one that I just thought of.
Right.
What about transportation?
Between LA and New York.
Don't get
Ryan, you just moved. You lived in LA before,
started.
but you just moved back.
But not only that, you were living in East Village by us. We're in LES. You were in East Village. Particularly convenient. It's not like we were all in like LIC or like Astoria. Like you know what I mean? We were like in it.
So to give the listeners kind of an idea, I lived in Astor Place, which is a very affluent area of Manhattan in New York, and
A lot of rich NYU kids.
rich NYU kids. And as I stepped outside my door, I had the green line running. Literally, I walk outside, train's there. It takes me all the way uptown, all the way downtown. I walk one street over. I have the NRQ, one street there, and then 3 streets up, I had Union Square, and another 4 streets down, I had Washington Square Park. So I literally had every single subway line to take you anywhere in Manhattan, Bronx, Queens, anywhere.
Well, that's particularly one of the more convenient lines, right?
Right. But then, you know, I moved back to LA. Mind you, I'm living in DTLA, and like I said this earlier to you guys, I feel like I'm still at home, but I traded the smell of garbage for the smell of pee and homeless people. But the transportation here, besides walking, which is what I love to do, you gotta have a car. Or
Are you not on the scooter thing yet, bro? You're not with it?
The scooter.
You're not with the scooter. You know you can ride them on the sidewalk.
I understand, but like for me, growing up in New York, I love walking. Like for me, I love being able to explore my neighborhood. It's funny, I went out to
It's LA, man.
Ain't
I
that
went to-
many cool things to see in downtown.
I know, but I'm just saying, like I went out to a weed store at like 2 a.m. with my roommate. She wanted to get weed, and I was like, fuck.
Weeds, yeah.
Go ahead. Keep going.
Try not to cuss as much.
Okay. Anyway,
It's legal. Okay.
Okay, it's legal in LA. She wanted to get it, and I was directing her there. She was like, "How do you know how to get here?" Like, I was telling her like without a GPS or anything, because like I've been walking around for so long. Like, You pick
Yeah,
things up.
that's true. That is true that New Yorkers have the mental grid in their mind.
Yeah, and I was trying to.
They're very
explain
grid. They're very.
No,
grid. Because you guys remember growing up in New York prior to GPS, right?
Yeah, I didn't.
Dude, Aaron, remember back in the day trying to get around New York with a map and popping into banks and having banks be so pissed off you were slowing up their business just so they could tell you how to get to Houston and you call it Houston and they're like, what do you mean? It's not even called Houston Street.
You know, once you get the grid in your mind, everything's way easier. But you have to put the time into memorizing the map. Even LA. Listen, downtown LA, when I started scooting around and you just stare at a map for like 10 minutes and you're just like, okay, the streets, that's the street. Like, it makes more sense, but you have to study it.
I think for me, because I've spent so much of my time in New York, I kind of just replace the street names in my head. So like I know, I live on Olive Street. I know one street over is Grant, and then one street over to the right is gonna be Hill, and then Main, and then Broadway, and then
LA Street, Los Angeles Street.
Los Angeles Street, and then you have San Pedro. So like I'm replacing things like Eldridge and like
well, you're using the streets that go laterally. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and then in LA, so normally in New York, if you're walking south, the streets are descending.
Right.
Right? If you're walking south in LA,
they go
the
down.
streets are ascending. So like, I live on.
You're right, because below us, the street is 11th,
It's 11th,
and then 12th. Yeah.
And then 13th is P.
But right above us is Olympic, and then there's 19th.
Exactly. So you just switch that around in your head, and you gotta memorize that.
All right. So when it comes to transportation, though, are you surprised that have you even taken the LA subway? Because we do have an LA subway.
So I've dropped a girl off at an LA subway, but I've never gone on it myself. I've been on the bus once. I've been on the bus once.
What'd you think? I mean, overall, in a word.
Trash.
Let me tell you, no, guys. Let me.
Well, they don't. I'll tell you this. They don't invest a lot. It's not a well-funded public infrastructure.
Bro, that seat was like sitting on fucking nails. That shit, it was so hard.
Can I tell you that it is so bad in LA that they allow Elon Musk to drill tunnels below LA? That's how bad it is. They're just like, Elon wants to do it, just do it,
Dude,
man.
did you hear, and I want to take a lot of time, did you guys hear about that conspiracy? Andrew, you know about it. That at one point, LA was gonna get a New York style subway system, and the car companies lobbied together and just bought all the politicians out and just murked
They bought that company. They bought it out and then trashed it. That's one of the. I think it's more of a conspiracy. I think it's
I'll tell you this smart move because I don't know how many cars they sold.
So it's not only the car people, but also the fossil fuel people. Like the Koch brothers are responsible for so many like campaigns that like
to move things that you don't really think
exactly.
about. Yeah.
Well, it's sort of like these invisible hands that control. You know, some people call it the Illuminati.
Right.
Or you could just call it macro mogul moves.
Yeah.
Right.
I think
people who have a lot of stake in a lot of like commodities and different industries going extinct or being replaced will certainly hurt the values of ownership, right?
Yeah.
The Illuminati, I think the whole idea is not as mysterious as people think. It's just really, really rich people who have their self-interests and their company's interests in mind. So,
but anyway, transportation here in LA, it's. I haven't been on the subway, but being on the bus, that sucks.
Can I defend one thing about LA? The Ubers are way cheaper.
Oh my
yeah.
Significantly cheaper.
Well,
you can get stuck and go 10 streets in New York. You know, it'd be like 17.
Well, because New York is smaller.
Also,
per distance, it is more expensive. Because let's say you go 6 blocks in an Uber, it's going to cost more than going 6 blocks in LA.
They make all those drivers being licensed commercial drivers.
But also in New York, Uber has to compete with yellow cabs. Yeah. Yellow cabs have had the same rate. It's all universal, so like they have to compete with that pricing too. And that's why they were trying to get rid of Uber in New York, because you're killing like one of these staple businesses in New York, and a lot. So they capped the cars, right? Did they cap the? I forget if there's a cap on it, but because of Uber, like the medallion for a taxi cab used to be like $340,000-$400,000. Like it used to be a good investment to get a taxi medallion.
It'll pay itself off.
Now those values have crashed, and like banks that have backed it, like Valley National Bank, they're in serious trouble because of it.
Oh, for backing the medallion.
Yeah. And
mean,
that's a small tidbit.
So
That's an interesting tidbit.
real quick, so in like a couple sentences, what's the future of taxis, yellow cab taxis in New York?
I mean,
What do you think?
I feel like they're never gonna go out of business because they're so iconic to the city itself. Like when you think of New York,
Yellow cab, gypsy cab, Hollow bed.
exactly. You think yellow cab, Statue of Liberty, Empire State
Are
Building.
they gonna get nicer, man? They're super stinky.
Bro, you're. Yeah.
I don't want to sound like a I'm just saying. Facts, right?
I will take the 2017, 2018, 2019 black Camry all day over.
Oh, 100%. Like it's like.
All right, I will say there was a cool feeling. I flagged down. I've taken taxis before, but not as often. But it is kind of fun to flag one down.
Oh yeah.
Like it's you get that experience, and instead of going on your phone, oh, where's my pickup? Oh, okay, pick me up on the street. You know, like you get to be like, oh,
Yo.
you just get to yell.
Yeah. Like you guys have seen when I pick up a cab, I scream at them like, yo, come over.
Yeah. I do like the aspect of yelling and vocalizing things in New York, like communication.
There's
all
also
that.
there's also a hidden hang language for like taxis. If you're like this, it means like your destination's close, so you might get like an off duty cab to like turn on his lights. Yeah.
No kidding.
If you're trying to go somewhere
like an easy ride.
like
I
an easy
know
ride.
that.
Oh shit!
Almost
Dang.
like a little Uber thing before Uber.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And then what's a long distance? Is there like a? You should go and take a while, bro. Long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Long time.
What do you think about like the climate? The climate's obviously really, really different because
Okay, so
we kind of went culture, transportation, climate.
So I, for the viewers, I recently signed my lease in LA in June. I still have a place in New York, and I went to New York to film for a TV series. It was about 2 weeks ago now. They flew me out. I did the filming, and then I flew back to LA the same day to do like a big commercial. And while I was in New York, walking the streets in Manhattan, I was like, holy crap. I used to spend my summers here. It was so humid. I couldn't believe
that's
it.
true.
I've been so spoiled living in LA since April. I signed my lease in June, but I've been here since April. And it's super dry. I don't have to worry about it. Like I don't sweat when I go outside. I can like wear a jacket at night if I want to. And that one day in New York destroyed me. I was just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. You get it's way drier out here.
It's way drier.
It's way drier. It's not that like sauna, like steam room vibe.
Here's my thing, right? You step outside in New York during a hot summer day, you're gonna be completely wet in like 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
And then I would say in LA, the sun is like a scorcher though. The sun beats down on you out here, but it is a dry heat. So if you're in the shade in LA, it's
You're
perfect.
chilling.
You're good.
Yeah.
If you're in the sun, you're gonna get scorched. I don't know why the sun beats down so hard here. Like I don't know if it's like a hole in the ozone right here, right above LA. And that's my takeaway. I mean, obviously, like the winters are harsh.
The winters are, yeah, they're bad. I'm not a fan of.
Would you say it's more bipolar weather, or both places kind of have crazy bipolar weather?
What, LA?
Yeah.
LA is like almost 70% of the year is the same.
They say more New York, right?
80s, pretty much 80s, 70% of the year.
Like New York, I've been in New York where it's been 112 degrees. It was like I was like I don't know 13 years old. I was playing tennis outside. And they made us like they mandatorily made us go inside for like 2 hours and then resume play.
I feel like, yeah, you're right though. But you know, this leads me to my other point. Do you guys think that people in New York, due to the harshness of the climate and sort of these shared intense experiences, have more like camaraderie with each other? And
I would say yes, because remember what happened in New York maybe 10 years ago? It was this crazy flood.
Oh,
where everybody,
Katrina?
it's just flooded every.
The subways, right?
The subways and like people's apartments were. I feel like that kind of stuff really kind of bonds people together. In LA, it's just we're not as close to. Even if there's like an earthquake, right? And like technically everybody went through an earthquake, but it's just we're not as densely populated, so we're not like pinging with each other as much here. So I think it's less bonding.
What do you think?
I think there's definitely more bonding in New York because, everybody is going. They're like no matter what in the morning. It may be blizzarding out, but you still have to go to work. You still gotta pay your rent. You gotta pay your bills. You gotta make money for your company. So like everybody just like once you get to the office, you take off all your clothes. You sit there for a good 20 minutes. You talk with your office mate. And you're just like, man, this weather sucks. And then you just kind of talk about that. It's usually a big talking point. Is
right. The weather is what you wouldn't believe what my commute was.
Exactly.
Well, I was gonna say this that maybe New Yorkers on a day-to-day basis might be less polite to each other, but it's sort of like an intense thing where it's like they're bonded by extreme events, but then on a day-to-day they're gonna be more brisk with each other.
Right.
In their everyday stay and go. But people don't talk to you that way in LA.
But
they don't be like stay and go.
Can I say this? That I think that kind of attitude with each other, that's in a way to me speaking a certain New York dialect. Is that stay and go, let's go, move it. They don't mean it in a, no one's gonna fight off of that. But it's literally hey, you guys all understand, we understand each other. I'm trying to get to where I need to go. I need to work.
I need to go.
Yeah. And I was gonna say the city, let's take Manhattan, for example. A lot of it's the similar age. So whether you're up by Central Park or you're down in the LES, right? There's still all gonna be garbage on the streets at night, right? The bags, there's gonna be rats rolling around. There's no place in the city that doesn't have roaches and rats. Right? Or not that, maybe it's the new buildings.
I wouldn't say roaches, but definitely
there's rats.
There's rats.
Right. So I'm saying there's smoking, steaming sewers. So I'm saying those are things that I feel like everybody sees almost on a daily basis. And everybody takes the subway too. That's a huge uniting.
Dude, you go into the subway,
crazy.
You'll see.
Everybody got subway stories, right?
You'll see everything. Pizza.
You don't see a lot of people. Yeah, pizza rat. You don't see a lot of smiles on the subway. I wouldn't say that everybody's living a miserable life, but no one's hella happy to be in that thing.
Okay, have you done a vlog of you going into a subway? Have you seen your face when you're getting packed into a subway car like a sardine?
Right, during rush hour.
During rush hour, you probably ain't smiling either.
No, you're just like this. You're
just
Yeah.
And then he's
Yeah,
No, and sometimes I gotta value the cute little baby that's brought on, or the cute little dog or whatever that's brought on, where everybody kind of looks at it and is nice.
I always think it's funny when somebody has a 60-pound dog, but they're trying to put it in a bag to make it safe.
Yeah.
So they're like, yeah, I'm walking with it.
Well, technically to go on the subway, they have to be
in a bag.
In a bag.
But I see people bring out the big ass IKEA bags, anything, cut little holes for
right.
legs.
Yeah.
It's kind of I feel the whole kind of mission of the city is hey man, we're just trying to get through the day no matter how it is.
Yeah.
So that's why different parts of the city are more like each other than in LA, where it's downtown LA, this area versus West Side is pretty different.
Completely different.
Yeah. It's different LAs.
When I was staying out in Venice, when I was Airbnb and trying to figure out where I wanted to live, staying in Venice, the people there are just completely different in detail. Even the vibes itself, I walked to the beach.
Would you say that downtown LA more similar to New York than Venice is?
Oh, 100, yeah.
Way more similar, right?
Yeah, way more similar. But it's just the thing about LA, it's a collection of different cities. It's a
You know what I heard? I heard that LA is 72 neighborhoods stitched together by highways.
Yeah, I agree with that.
72
different neighborhoods
stitched
together by highways. That is crazy. That means there's theoretically 72 different vibes. Not saying a city doesn't have 20. I don't think it's rare for a city to have even 20 maybe.
Right.
A city like Boston, realistically, 6. You know what I mean? Boston is relatively small, So maybe there's Justin, how many different districts would you say that Boston has where there's distinct vibes? I said 6 different districts of Boston.
Yeah. 6.
All right, 6. If LA has 72, Boston has 6. New York probably has 12, maybe.
Nah, because Washington Heights is different than East Village.
So how many would you say New York has? Because East Village feels very much one way.
Yeah, East Village.
East Village is the most hippie college town. If you living in a college town, would you agree? Dude, every college town I've ever lived in or been to in America feels like East Village.
Yeah.
Maybe not as like cool.
Well, that's because you have like NYU, you have Parsons there.
Baruch is near, right?
Baruch is nearby. I mean, that's more Gramercy, but yeah, it's the thing. Okay, so New York is just it's all the neighborhoods all have their own vibe. Like West Village is different.
But I guess how many neighborhoods is there? Is what I'm saying. If LA is 72.
I know. I'm trying to stall for time to think. It's hard. It's hard.
How about let's just go. How about 20?
I would say 15 in Manhattan, and then Brooklyn's like its own little thing. You gotta think. You've never been to Staten Island. Staten Island.
I've never been there.
Yeah,
I've
Staten
never
Island.
even.
Staten Island.
We have never been to Staten Island.
Yeah, Staten Island dump, bro.
But
Yeah. So like you haven't been to like
Shots.
shots
shout
fired.
out to Wu-Tang.
So like there are parts of New York City that you've yet to explore, and like I've only been to Staten Island a handful of times. I've been out there to help my friend Carrie move. Shout out to Carrie.
I thought you meant Carrie.
Randomly, she's on the
memberships.
No.
You know Carrie. Shout out to
Carrie Lamb.
Carrie from Staten Island.
From Staten Island. Yeah, so I've only been there like a handful of times. I couldn't tell you how many different neighborhoods there are there. So what I would say in Manhattan, probably like 15, 20. Yeah.
Not 72.
Not 72.
Not
Dude,
72.
LA is like on another level.
Dude, so I think, and one of the other things that kind of stitch LA's neighborhoods together, it's all kind of entertainment-y.
Yeah. I would say one thing, would you guys say is like, and I'm not saying this is a good or bad thing, is people in LA, because there's so many neighborhoods, they generally only know like 10 of them. And there might be 60 of them that they're not familiar with.
Yeah. Right.
But in New York, I don't know why it is, but it seems like a lot of people have been a lot of places, at least on the island.
No, I feel like they have opinions about everything.
That's true, but also you want to know why?
Why?
Transportation.
Oh, you're saying you always just get off on
you can just go like if somebody in Lower East Side has a friend in Washington Heights, and that person in Washington Heights can just like jump on the blue line, or they can jump on the orange
Well,
line.
literally, it's like $3. It's like $3.50.
$2.75, right? And you can get anywhere in Manhattan. So that
Because it doesn't go by distance.
yeah, it doesn't go by distance.
I think they probably should, though, realistically, in the future, right? That is a more logical system. Because sometimes I just be going like one stop and I'll be like,
I want to hear Ryan disagrees. I get why it should be by distance, but
That's how
Ryan,
most advanced
Ryan,
systems
you made
are.
a very high pitch.
Yeah. Okay. So like, yes, you're right. That's how like in like a perfect society.
Also, all the modern subway systems in the world,
But
like at the new countries.
The MTA is trash. Like they already like it's $2.75 right now, and they've been raking in money for a while. They do a lot of repairs and whatnot, but nothing's ever fixed. Like we still have so many problems. Like the L train was a disaster for a long time. Like.
So should they?
So what are you trying to say?
What is it?
I'm just trying to
What's
say,
your recommendation?
their service needs to be better before they start increasing prices.
What if the max is $2.75, but then a one-stop one is $1.75? I don't know.
I mean,
They put a cap on it, like.
Well, I heard the reason that it is one price too is to subsidize for people who are lower income and have to travel. It makes
yeah. I don't know. I mean, MTA.
They're not listening. They're not listening.
There's so much to talk about,
Let's
but
finish
this is the last one. And I think that this is going to be one of the longer points we talk about. What about Asians' cultural space in New York versus Asians' cultural space in LA?
What do you mean by that?
Like, imagine New York as a high school. Who are the Asian kids? Imagine LA as disparate as LA is. What cultural spacing does that Asian group occupy? And I think it's different. Andrew.
In New York and LA. LA is much. The West Coast is newer, so I think Asians have a bigger part of LA. I think when anybody who comes to LA thinks of Asians, they think of like could be a Japanese American, Chinese American, third generation, Koreans. Koreans are heavy in the city. I think that's generally who they think about. Asians are pretty much part of LA.
Yeah.
To me, this is what I think about New York. Asians have been there, specifically Chinese people have been in New York literally as long as anybody.
Yeah.
On anybody in New York City. I saw a video, someone showed me a video of the first recorded video of New York, and there's Chinese signs everywhere.
Yeah.
But Chinese people, for whatever reason, I don't want to get into it, there's 10 reasons. they didn't like immigrate into the city, so they weren't viewed. Even though they've always been there in New York, but they've always been viewed as like the aliens that have to renew their visa every year. So it's kind of weird because there will be people who have arrived in New York later, maybe like even Italians, arrived later to New York than Chinese did. They'll be like, "Gang, I'm more New York than you," because their culture more seeped into like what is defining New York versus Chinese always having been there but always being so separate.
I think that's all. Yeah, that's a product of Chinese people themselves wanting to stick to their own culture.
Yeah,
probably more. If you made me put it on one thing,
okay, so
for sure.
In college, definitely. like we all had that fob Chinese like kid in the dorm that was like
I had him as a roommate.
Yeah, like chain smoking cigarettes in his dorm and like
breaking rules,
and then not giving a crap about any of the things that the college said, and he only hangs out with other fob Chinese people.
Yeah,
right.
There's definitely multiples of those people. Yeah.
So like, I mean, I feel like
not everybody's like that, by the way.
I'm not saying everyone's like that.
That's a certain type.
It's a certain type, but like I think that kind of plays into why like.
Well, let's put it this way. Look, Chinatown, New York is by all means part of New York, and everybody acknowledges that. I'm sure everybody who spent any time in New York has been to Chinatown.
Because even their grandparent has been in New York. Like,
I remember when I used to eat on Christmas dinner. I used to have it in New York. Yeah. You know, like you hear that. That's not uncommon to hear that, but.
Kind of viewed as like perpetual foreign service people.
No, it's like its own separate country within New York. And
you mean a SAR, a special administrative region?
But
that's crazy.
Damn.
That special autonomous region.
It kind of runs by its own rules too.
It does.
But yeah, it doesn't seem like only until recently that it's really like the younger generation, this generation, with
right.
So anyway, what my point was, and my major takeaway from that is that obviously Chinese people having been there since the beginning of New York, but then always kind of like having to renew their visa versus gaining citizenship, it changed it for all other Asians too.
Right.
Because I always feel like whatever happens to the Chinese, it's gonna happen to other Asians, whether those other Asians wanted to or not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They're subject to those same dynamics. Right. And what I feel like is the Asians in New York, agree with me or not, they have a lot of really tight-knit camaraderie with each other. Yeah. It's way more likely that two Asians know who each other are in New York than in LA. In LA, you probably see a million Asians, you're like, I don't know anybody. But in New York, if you see a million Asians, what is the odds?
Dude, you've been out.
Dude, you know a bunch of them, right? So I'm saying that
K-Town on a Saturday night, you're gonna bump into a lot of people that
you know what I'm saying? It's almost like being at a small liberal arts school, but all the Asians, there's like 4,000 Asians, but they all know each other at the Duke or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I'm saying that it's weird because when I'm in New York, I feel like so much love from that community, but then when I'm outside of that community, I almost feel even more invisible than I do feel amongst non-Asians in LA.
Right.
At least as a full Asian guy.
Right.
I know your situation might be different, but like I'm saying, Aaron, would you agree? Like it's almost like the tight-knitness within the Asian bubbles even stronger. Right. But when you're outside, it's almost even more like
invisible.
Like what are these Asians doing outside of the zone? Right. The special Asian zone, special administrative Asian zone.
I think the top tier of New York, the people who run New York, I think very few of them, if any of them, are Asian. But I think the people who are big dogs in LA, like billionaires in LA, some of them are Asian.
Like one of the main owners of the Lakers is Asian.
Yeah.
Chinese guy.
Yeah, and there's tons.
And Kia sponsors the Clippers.
A Chinese guy just bought part of the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah.
Oh, no, he bought the whole thing.
I think Chinese are coming up in New York in 2019. Yeah. But we're talking about like for the years you were growing up and like when I used to go to New York when I was like 15, the ranking was like quite separated.
Yeah, the inclusion of like Chinese money, especially in the last like 5 to 10 years.
Oh, in the East Village.
That's transformed New York, right?
New York City real estate. Like a lot of people, they come from China, and to be honest, they launder money through buying cash properties in New York City. And I mean, it's been a big thing for the past like 5-10 years, but it's brought like a big influence into the city itself. For
Dude, sure. And if you Yelp and just type in Chinese into the East Village area,
oh my god,
pages.
I think 20 boba shops that are like really fancy boba shops opened up in the past year in East Village alone.
And it was a big eye opener for me because like when I had an Airbnb in West Hollywood, I wanted some Chinese food, and I typed it into like my Grubhub, I found like one restaurant.
Yeah, it was like Chinese Express.
No, it was called Genghis Cohen.
Cohen, like the Jewish last name.
Jewish last name.
So it was a joke. It was a joke restaurant. Kind of.
I think it was like no. It had good Chinese.
You're right. But it was like the name was tongue in cheek.
Tongue in cheek, and I think probably a Jewish guy only, but
Or
anyway,
a Jewish and Chinese couple.
Yeah. So there was like Chinese food, and there was like a Thai place, and then an Indian place.
No, WeHo does not have Chinese food.
I think it'll change. I think that same influx of money for the longest time in LA was just kind of existing in our Flushing like SGV enclave. I think I see it developing now in 2019.
There's true. There is more Sichuan restaurants opening across LA, but you gotta say, and this is one of my last things, is that New York appreciates Chinese food way more.
Oh,
they love new Chinese food
they
in New York.
Chinese food.
But in the West Coast, I don't think it's as popular. One, it doesn't maybe fit the beach diet as much.
Yeah.
Also, China, I don't know. It's just like I said, like Chinatown, LA is not as much of a part of the city.
Right.
Well, it's on the
as a
outskirts of the city.
as Chinatown, New York.
Right. And
So
I think everybody like when you think of New York, like what do you want to get? Oh, let's get Chinese takeout. Like it's a thing. I don't.
Well, Chinese, in all those movies that you're talking about, like takeout, because Chinese had so many delivery boys.
Right.
But in LA, no one delivers Chinese food.
Also,
like you almost never do
the
that.
oyster pails, the takeout containers, they're actually originally like made to pluck oysters. Those are like iconic. Like when you.
Oh, you mean the ones that fold out?
Yeah. They're iconic. So when you think of it, you think Chinese.
I guess which one, at least to the exposure that you've had, do you enjoy spending time in more? Like, because like obviously being half, you can probably more ping in the mainstream worlds too if you want. But like as far as the Asian worlds go, which one? Obviously, a lot more Asians in New York than
Right.
LA, right? I mean, some Asians here, but not like percentage of the field. You just know way less lower ratio.
Yeah, I know less people here, but I enjoy the culture of Koreatown here. It's much bigger. There's a lot more restaurants you can go to, a lot of pochas you can drink with your friends.
Oh yeah, more
Like,
diversity in spots. Right? I feel like in New York it was like 5 spots.
If I go to Chinatown in New York, I'm probably going there to eat, or I'm picking up like some groceries that you can't get anywhere else in the city. Like I'm not going there to go drinking, right?
Yeah.
Unless it's like
There's a few
Tribeca,
spots, but
yeah,
they're not as popular.
They're not as popular. Like if you're going to Koreatown in LA, like there's a big group of people outside, and they're all trying to get in. Like it's fun. It's a good time. Like Chapman Plaza.
We're literally Wilshire, Chapman Plaza, 3rd Street. Crazy.
Yeah, it's insane.
No, the Koreatown in LA is better. Than
Koreatown is like a Korea city. I'm still caught off guard sometimes when we're driving into K-Town at night and we're miles away from our destination. I'm like, there's Korean businesses.
Still Koreatown.
There's Korean businesses a mile and a half out from the center.
And you have to, and like Koreatown starts all the way on like Beverly, and it goes all the way down past Pico.
There's like a million, not a million, but like I don't know, 150 Korean barbecue spots that you like never think about.
Oh, for
because
sure.
we'll only go to like one of like 6,
Right.
the hot ones,
Quarters.
But, yeah, quarters.
Oh.
Yeah. But then like there's a bunch on the outskirts that I'm just like, yo, that's a Korean barbecue. Like who goes there?
Yeah.
And which one would you say you enjoy spending more time in? All right, let me say my thing about it. I feel like in New York, kicking it with everybody is so fun. But then I feel like when I'm kicking it in LA, sometimes I could get like business done too.
Right.
Like because naturally we work in media and entertainment, there's going to be more natural overlap if you're out and you're hanging out with other media entertainment people. Maybe you're talking about deals, or maybe I mean there's a chance. I feel like in New York when I'm out in at least at Asian spots, there's probably the likelihood that anybody at the table that we're at is like gonna have something that crosses over directly with what I do is so low.
Right.
It's almost like we're just like partying because they're off of their Fortune 500 job, whatever, and we're just like all letting loose together. But there's no like gonna be no two birds in one stone type situation.
Also, the other thing about like going out in Koreatown in New York, they go way harder. Like you're out there.
All right.
Because the club's closed at like 4.
Can I say something? That there is nothing in LA to me comparable to a good night out in New York.
Oh, for sure.
Nothing in LA is comparable. Where you're hopping, whether it's I don't even know if you were there, but I've been from Chinatown to K-Town in the same night at like 6 different spots.
Yeah.
And I've barely remembered, but it was awesome.
It was
It was dope.
Yeah.
I had so much fun, but like I will not do that in LA just because you're just gonna pick like 1 or 2 spots.
Well, if it closes at 2 a.m., I mean, how many spots are there?
Yeah, but in New York, you party till 4 easily. So I think that it's tough to say because obviously on the kind of the crazy ping, wild night level, I would say New York wins.
Right.
I would enjoy those better, but it is easier to live in LA, bar none. Like I would say that it's just easier to live. Like it's cheaper, the weather's better.
It's a more comfortable life.
Yeah, it's more like catered for entertainment, so I have to take that into consideration. But I love New York and those like crazy.
Sometimes I think about like all the time that I would have spent thinking about other stuff in New York, and I kind of miss it. But then I also got to think, if my sole goal was to like advance one silo of my life, technically the more stimulus and things and reactionary you are in the other silos of your life, even though you enjoy those like reactionary stimuluses, technically isn't that siphoning off from time and focus you could be putting into one, like growing one tree?
I think for me, because I've branched out into so many different types of business, like I'm doing entertainment, whether it comes.
And you have a lot of different types of friends.
I have a lot of different types of friends, and like whether I'm doing like food videos with you, or I'm doing modeling for my agency, or like commercial work, like all this entertainment world has like opened up to me in the last couple of years. It wasn't something that I ever thought growing up I was going to get into.
Well, you didn't almost actively attack that world, right?
No, I never did. And it wasn't until you gave me a chance 3 years ago now, maybe 3 years ago, that I finally like got involved with the entertainment world and found that I enjoyed this space, right? And so I think New York has always been the end goal for me, but then as I started to break more territory into the entertainment world, I can see where you guys are coming from when it comes to like being focused solely on entertainment in LA.
Question, yes or no, or either or. If you were going to stay in real estate, because we're still working in real estate as of maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I still have my license.
Yeah. If you were going to stay in real estate, working as that your career, do you think you would have stayed in New York?
Yes. You know why? Because when I was in real estate and I did the $6 million deal, a couple months after I moved to LA 6 years ago, and then after a year, I was like, all right, I've had enough. I'm gonna go back and do real estate again, make money.
But since you've joined entertainment, you value LA a lot more now.
I value LA a lot more, and like my vision is honestly pretty clouded right now. I don't know exactly what I want to do anymore. I really don't.
And classic Hopper, man. Screwy GPS. Too many options. Too many worlds.
Hey, just
tragic Hopper. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Half kidding.
Hey, just like you're torn between the Asian and Irish side. Oh, torn between the two coasts.
I think.
Oh, jeez.
I think for you, my best advice is, man, if you really do love entertainment and you love creating, like really think about it, because I think you probably got a good shot at making it a good career, but you got to know that this is this will be the world that you're like, not that you can't do real estate like on the side, but like the majority, if you really focus on making the majority of your income, like that's how you'll get your income to mostly come from entertainment, is if you believe that and put all your energy and thoughts towards it. Yeah.
And I think I'm at that crossroads where it's like, all right, I either have to plunge into one or the other. I can't keep pussyfooting around. Well,
because it doesn't really get you that far in either
category, right?
That's like trying to be like, I'm gonna play football and baseball at the same time. Hey man, those are two pretty different skill sets. Theoretically, you could do it like Deion Sanders or Bo Jackson, but like realistically, you're gonna be better at one of them.
Yeah. So I mean that's a thing for me to figure out, obviously, but yeah, I definitely see where you guys are coming from when it comes to like you enjoy LA more because of the stimulus.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. But it's just like it allows us to do what we do, and we just can't. Like I don't know. I think it could have worked in New York if I would have started there 8-9 years ago and had a whole plan and like
Or if you had like, let's say you had the connections that I had because I've been living there.
You know what I say? I would say that.
What to NYU?
No, if I had gone to college in New York, I think easily you stay there because college you meet so many people, you get started there early, you figure things out early. But coming there later in life at like, I don't know how old we were, like 26, 27, that's pretty old to be starting a new like kind
Chapter.
of, yeah, like a new office space and like being based out. It's tough. It's really tough.
So that's interesting that we arrived at that point that like you're at sort of, would you say, a crossroads in your career?
You're at a fork.
Yeah. I am at a fork. And
Now, I would, if I could give you any advice, I'd say you're in LA. Might as well go hard in entertainment. You can always go back to New York. You got family there. You got a lot of great friends. You can probably always go back there and do real estate.
Right.
If your dad was a real estate mogul, I would say go into real estate. I would be like, yo, the acting thing, just who cares, man? You're gonna make like millions a year. Just sell the buildings.
Yeah.
But I say give it a good shot while you're here in LA.
And it's funny too, because like when all my, I didn't, maybe a little messed up of me, but I didn't tell my friends that I was going to LA and I was going to stay there.
What?
It's all good. It works. Yo, so yeah, like we said, you're at a crossroads, and then I said the thing about if your dad was a mogul, then just stay doing that. But then Andrew said,
I mean, give it a good shot while you're here.
Right.
I mean, you're kind of settling. I mean, you're going to be here for at least a year now.
Yeah, at least a year. I mean, I signed a lease. It was funny too, because like when I left New York, I didn't tell anybody I was leaving. I didn't have like a big goodbye thing. That's not my thing. And then when I came back,
how big of that thing?
Right, Ryan.
How big of thing
Ryan's
would
real
that have
low
been?
key, huh?
Yo, did you go to Paul's new spot?
No, because like I had to go straight from set to the airport to go to.
Hey, that's the true entertainment life when you're back in New York for something and you can't even see anybody.
No, you don't even tell people.
I couldn't. No, but the thing is, like, I told people I was coming home for the weekend because I was gonna stay. It was my little brother's birthday. We were going to Joel Rubicon. It was his first time doing like a 3 Michelin star, and his birthday was the weekend before. And
I'm assuming it was a restaurant. Right?
Joel Rubicon. Yeah, Joel.
Joel Rubicon's cool. Like he's one of the most famous chefs. He just died last year.
R.I.P.
But anyway, so it was my brother's birthday the weekend before, and they moved it because they knew I was coming the next weekend. And then I found out I got the commercial and that they were flying me out like the day I was flying to New York.
When you're in entertainment.
Well, you know what it is, man. That's like what I was talking about though, like about the New York thing, where it's like I love it. When I'm in New York, I get like 6 messages from people that are like, yo, come through this thing, come through that thing, we're doing this thing, come through this event. And sometimes I'm like, yo, I love you guys, but if you guys are not doing what I'm doing, how much time can I really prioritize to you guys? It's not that I don't wish you guys well, or I hope I don't see you out for like 10 minutes, but I can't spend 2 hours with you going out on the town on a Thursday night or a Friday night because
I have my
first of all, I know how you are. It's like, I know how you are. You're going to get drunk, like get forced drinks or whatever. And then it's just like, I gotta do this thing because when you're in entertainment and they're not in entertainment,
it's tough.
They're not going to really, not in a malicious way, but how are they going to make choices for you that directly magnetize you towards that goal?
Because ultimately you're not going into business with them.
Right.
Like if you're not in, like I always said this, if I had to be broke in LA or New York, like have zero money in my bank and like not doing entertainment, and I had zero money in both cities, assuming I could live in both, I would live in New York.
Yeah.
Because it'd be the most fun. Yeah. Ping field. I'd see so many people. I walk down the street, blah, blah, blah.
Everybody's trying to go hard after 6 p.m.
I go to everybody's openings, go to their restaurants, stop by, just sit and talk. I'd be broke. I'd be cool.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I mean, LA is where you can make bigger things happen.
Right.
And you have more opportunities for stuff like that. So that's
sure.
why.
Especially in entertainment. And that's
so
what
you didn't see anybody when you were back?
So I didn't see, I only saw the people I was filming the TV show with. And I literally went straight from set to the airport.
You're so Hollywood now, bro.
Dude, you know what? I saw your story. You're like, oh man, I just had to leave set, had to jet on the plane.
Hey, look at this guy. Look at this guy over here, huh?
Yeah. Sorry,
look
guys.
He moves to LA for like 2 days.
All right.
I had to go back for a thing.
Yeah, I had to go back for this commercial. And it's funny because like girls, they did text me and they're like, hey, let's hang out. And I was just like, yeah, sorry. I got other big things.
But you know what? I used to like answer all those and go hang out with everybody. And I realized, and I'm not blaming everybody because that was my choice, but like, had I been more driven on focusing on a solo goal, like, you know, all those Drake lines where he's like, all my favorite girls miss Drake right now. I know that's so douchey and fratty of me to quote a Drake line like it means something.
Especially a 2016 Drake.
Yeah, but it really, Drake does have a lot of insight into that entertainment lifestyle where he's like, if you're trying to get your mixtape done and have it be dope, you can't be out pinging randomly because that's just not how you achieve a difficult puzzle.
No, because a lot of people want your time forever, and it's not malicious. They just want to say hi. They appreciate what you do. Maybe they really do appreciate what you do, but spending time with them does not help you get better. And like, it doesn't make you worse, but it just doesn't get you better.
Even last night, this girl, she asked me out. She was like, "Hey, like my friends rented out Mama Lion. They rented out the whole entire thing. Come through. Let's have some drinks."
That's a big club.
It was a pretty big club. And then another friend was like, "Yeah, my roommate, who I know, he was like, it's his last day before he goes to Korea, whatever. Come out to Lock and Key." And I'm there chilling in my bed. It's like 9 or 10 o'clock. And I was like, "Listen, I'm filming tomorrow. Like, I don't want to go out. I'm not trying to get fucked up and like drink with you guys until 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, I need to look good for camera tomorrow." Like, and that's the thing. Like, I literally told everybody who wanted to hang out with me last night, they didn't see me. I was in bed sleeping.
And I think that those are the mature choices, and that's why guys, and it's a shame because obviously if you can get over it and focus in at like 20, you become like a prodigy, right? But most guys don't actually develop that mentality till almost 30.
Right.
Because, you know, when we're 20, it's like, hell yeah, I'm coming out, right? Like,
yeah, of course.
Because
you want to see your friends.
You're trying to see the world. You're trying to get your reps in, just see life and get a scan for everything.
For me, like, I turned 25 in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. September 11, I turned 25. And like, I've lived the early 20s. And also, like, I started as an adult a lot earlier than other people, right?
Yeah, I was going to say 25. Yeah, you're like 2 years younger than I thought you were.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm not saying like, look, I just thought you were like,
yeah. So like, I started earlier too because I left my 7-year med program and then got into real estate at 18. So I was out in the city paying my parents kicked me out of my house. My mom kicked me out.
Right. So you're saying you just got put in situations in life that force you to grow up quicker than relatively your average person.
So I'm at the point now where like, if what you're doing, like, doesn't match up with what I need to do for myself in order to like further my career, then I'm sorry, bro. I'm not hanging out with you. Like, I have my priorities.
Talk, man. I see people do that a lot. That become like surgeons. You know what I mean? Like, all right, first of all, every entertainer should have the mentality of a surgeon. But I'm just saying, like, the people that it's more obvious to are people, you know, like people who are trying to become like the top optometrist or the top anything in the medical field. I always hear them be like, I missed, unless you weren't like my best, like my brother or my sister, I missed everybody's birthday.
Yeah.
And for sure, if I went to your birthday, I showed up for an hour and I was out. And I definitely didn't go to the after party in Vegas or blah, 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 because I was trying to become a surgeon.
Yeah.
And the surgery, like, you just can't even afford to be hungover even like 50% for like a quiz day.
Yeah.
Because that quiz day could be the day you miss the curve and you're not a surgeon anymore.
Right.
And it's like, okay, now you're a pediatrician. Not that there's anything wrong with being a pediatrician, but it's easier to become a pediatrician. Now you get drunk another day. You miss right before that, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you're not even a pediatrician anymore. Like, you're dropping down the chart.
I think also, like, when it comes to entertainment in LA, like, you only get a certain amount of shots to make it. Right.
Right. Because it's also age-based. There's like a time window.
There's a time window. So like, if you're trying to make it an entertainment, you need to like make sure you make the most out of every single opportunity that you have.
And definitely, you know, entertainment, I would add on to that. It comes in waves.
Right.
It's not a constant flow of work. And sometimes when you're riding that wave, you can't do anything else. You have to ride that wave as long as you can.
Right.
It's like hitting a hot streak where you're just like gambling or something. I don't know, whatever you're hitting, just ride that out.
Right.
Don't get shy throwing the dice if you know.
Like, let's say you book like 2 commercials in a row, you're kind of the hot person, people need you. Don't just be I'm going to take a 4-week break.
Yeah, no, you keep working.
No.
Yeah.
Yo, the Drake line that I think everybody likes to quote is, because while all my closest friends are out partying, I'm just here making all the music that they party to. Basically, Drake I'm in the studio. I make the music that they're playing at the club, but guess what? I'm not actually at the club. Yeah.
But let's be real. Drake's probably at the club.
And that's why I do think...
I bet only seldomly, and when he is at the club, he lights it up.
He turns up.
Yeah, I think that at this point in his career, he's built a system where he's able to do both at the same time.
Right.
But I don't think he's at the club all the time. He's just...
I mean, he's a single dude. He's a multimillionaire.
He doesn't need to be at the club.
No, he doesn't
have
need
parties.
But obviously, even if you look at the sports guys that are famous for going to the club, they're always criticized for not having the best performances.
Right.
John Wall.
James Harden.
J.R. Smith. J.R. Smith was probably drunk or something. Probably got drunk the night before when he forgot to score.
OBJ.
Yeah. Just out kind of at every event, every clout-driven thing. It's not that you couldn't balance it, but just the fact that they're out so much, it certainly raises questions.
It raises questions. He got traded.
Yeah.
And you have to deal with it. I think
they
you have
never
to deal
won more than one game, right? Or they never won a playoff game? Or the Giants? They
With
only
OBJ?
won one, right?
I'm not sure.
I heard they only won one his whole time they were there. They won one playoff game. That's what I heard.
I don't remember.
I just know it wasn't a very successful career,
it wasn't.
Yeah.
despite his immense talent.
Right. Well, he was
You know,
also
people want to
injured a
blame it
bunch.
on Eli too, but like,
Yeah.
anyway, what I'm saying is just like that's what I realized though, and I definitely realized that at least in the Asian world, I don't know how it is in the other worlds, you can't party your way to a career.
No.
I've never seen it, and everybody I knew that tried to do that, they might have conversations about their career when they're out. That's still possible in LA, but in terms of really turning the wheel and moving it like notches on the stereo, like turned up, nah.
No.
It's not gonna come from going out.
Unless
it's like the
unless you're a promoter, you're not.
It doesn't, dude. Most Asian careers are like at least partially self-driven. And guess what? When you're self-driven, you have to work on it yourself or your team. Yeah. And if going out does not allow you to work, or you're not meeting like the big boss person that's going to put you on, and honestly, yeah, a lot of Asian careers, we're more like make it yourself.
I feel like that's why Asians like still to this day some of them are dreaming about becoming a K-pop artist.
Right.
Because a K-pop artist, think about it, it's a military training schedule.
It's manufactured.
Yeah. It's like, but it's structured. But your day looks structured. Like they give you the Google Calendar.
Right.
You know, versus you having to develop your own Google Calendar and then following it yourself.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, that's like anybody wanting to get signed as opposed to like being the captain of your own career.
I mean, it's similar. Like if you're deep in the tech world, you do need to be around other tech people.
Yeah,
ultimately, because there's investment, there's all these collaborations, there's synergy, there's knowledge transfer between people. Like
I feel like
you have to be around that people of your same industry.
I feel like that's the same thing. Like people, if you're gonna make a name for yourself in an industry, you have to hang out with other people in the industry, which is why coming to LA makes sense for you guys, like rather than being out in New York right now.
Yeah, I'm still thinking in my mind like how it can work, and I think I might investigate it a little bit more. I'm just taking a look at. I think by all accounts, even Casey Neistat left New York.
He did. Oh right,
he moved to LA. He moved to LA like this month.
Well, he also
and he made a fortune in New York. Like he's like became super.
He's a man in New York.
I mean, I think he lived in New York for 20. I think he lived in New York
right?
for like 27 years.
He's like the New York YouTuber.
Yeah,
he still kind of epitomizes New York.
It's pretty
YouTuber.
synonymous with New York.
Yeah.
When it comes to YouTube, at least.
Yeah, so I think that just goes to show. Even he was just like, "Yo, I just gotta have time for my kids and myself." Blah blah blah. And so I feel like who's never leaving New York? That was Gary Vee.
No, he's not leaving.
Nah, Gary V's New York. He's trying to buy the Jets.
You know what? He already tried buying the Jets a while ago. But like the thing about Gary Vee, he has so many things going on in his head. Like he has so many different things. I feel like Gary Vee personifies what New York is. Right, that person that's super driven, has so many things going on.
Fast talker, yells at you. Really straight up though.
Really straight up,
dude.
I mean, I've never met him, but from his videos. Yeah.
So shout out to Gary. I mean, we'll see. We'll see what the future holds. I guess we'll check in at a later time, and why don't you give us an update on but like obviously in a sense, like I feel like a lot of other people are kind of like coming to a stage where you're at in your life.
Right.
You know what I mean? You know, when I was your age when I decided to do YouTube.
Is it really?
Yeah.
You were 25?
Yeah. Like pretty
Almost,
much. Like a little younger, but like I consider myself like quite a late bloomer.
Yeah.
Like obviously I consider myself a late bloomer for someone who's on the track to become pretty successful. like I'm not a late bloomer. Obviously, there's people who never bloom.
Right.
Like from my old hometown that are still nothing wrong with that if they're really happy having never bloomed. But as far as people who bloomed and like are chasing success and want to figure out the game and put their time into the right things to achieve, very lofty goals.
Yeah.
For sure, I consider myself a late bloomer. So I think that's why I don't know if you feel that way about yourself. Like, dang, I should have started doing the acting thing like earlier or whatever like that. But it's all good.
Well, I don't
because as long as whenever you do decide, as long as you get locked in, you can make up for
make up
loss.
the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't ever feel bad about it because I didn't know that this is something that I wanted to do until you brought me into that world.
Right. It's not like you are turning down scripts.
Yeah, exactly. Also, a little side note, when I first started watching you guys, it was like the 20 type videos. Like it was like the
list videos.
The list videos like way back when. I thought you were like 20, both of you.
Yeah. Well,
I think people are still caught off guard sometimes at how old we are.
Yeah. I didn't know that. So like the fact that you were 25 when you started, it was like I'm thinking about it in my head right now. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Well, you're doing the math right now.
Yeah.
Hey, man, YouTube keeps you young. I feel younger than I am.
Yeah.
In my heart, but not way younger.
For me, I don't really like take the age thing as like something I really care about because I'm like, I look young, but then like I know that for marketing reasons, it's something I have to
play up.
Be sensitive about. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I would never like.
I mean, we haven't made a whole video about it, but obviously, if people can find out, they can look in our wiki.
You know what I'm
even
saying?
though the
And that's
dates
when I
are
just
wrong
realized
on the
that it's
wiki,
like
actually,
it's
but-
like just like other people care and everybody in entertainment cares so much.
Right.
For me, I know I've been grinding, so I know that once I get on stage, like now that I'm starting to do stand up,
Right.
like I might look like a really young comedian that doesn't have a lot of life experiences or whatever, but when you hear what comes out of my mouth, it's not gonna It's gonna be different. It's gonna come from
You've been in this game.
like a depth of knowledge and being around the world and stuff. So
All that pain. that you've
yeah,
been through.
all the pain, it translates into laughter.
Trust the process.
Just the
pain and tribulations.
Yeah. So I think that's the main thing. But you know what? I hope that people took something away from this.
Yeah.
As you're on, I think that's what podcasts are good for.
Yeah.
It's like, hey man, I'm self-analyzing myself along this journey and then check in with y'all later. I got to go attack my life.
Yeah. Honestly, this was such a cool experience, and thank you guys for having me on. And this was legit.
That was cool. I mean, how'd you feel about your first podcast? Do you feel like it's different than if we're just talking at a regular table? Yeah.
Honestly, no. Like it's. I mean, obviously there's 2 cameras, there's 1, 2, and then you have the mics in front of you. But I just felt like we were hanging out and just like talking about like.
Is it weird hearing the voice so close to your headphones?
Yeah, this is a new thing for me.
I think there's more pressure to have takeaways though.
No, I feel like you gotta say
because you can't go on like nobody can be on their phone real quick and be like, oh dude, look at this funny thing that this person just texted me. It's like,
you know what it is?
We
You
talking
can't
about the thing.
divert.
Let's just talk about the thing.
No, you can't divert the conversation to somewhere else. Like you can't. This Instagram is funny. No, I wouldn't. You wouldn't do that in a podcast because
I think also like when you're in a podcast, you have to force yourself to take in the input from other people and really absorb it to come up with an adage or response or like something to tack onto it. And it has to be like, you really kind of have to listen to others in order to advance the conversation.
It's hard to tune us out when we're in your ear.
No, it's way more of a volley.
Yeah.
Like you volley an idea to me, and then I hit it with my racket, which imparts my flavor onto it.
And then I slice it to Andrew.
Yeah, Ryan, I can see that you were engaged because you didn't go word. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching that. That was for the memberships. 2 parts stitched together. The recorder stopped recording for some reason, but whatever. Shout out to Ryan for being here. New York friend, lived in LA, back in LA now. We met him in New York, but or met you in LA. That's a whole different story.
That's a whole different story.
Velasco.
And through the other Ryan, that's crazy too.
Through the other Ryan and my old roommate Steve, who used to be your roommate.
Steve and Kim.
Crazy.
Way
Way
back.
back.
Of funny connections there. For another time. But thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing to memberships. Check out the Filipino food episode that's coming out soon at Max's. Until next time, we out.
Peace.